Good morning, and thank you, Frank Haninger. That was lovely, lovely way to begin with the Rav drum. So, welcome to the Greater Philadelphia Center for Spiritual Living, your path to freedom and to a true sense of interdependence, which we're going to be talking about today. So, wherever you may be on your spiritual path, you are loved and you are welcome here. We provide a sane, safe, sacred place to deepen our connection to the living spirit and to one another, and to create a viable possibility for a life of peace, prosperity, and empowerment. Our purpose is awakening humanity to its spiritual magnificence. Our vision is creating a world that works for all. Our mission is providing spiritual tools for personal and global transformation. And our purpose statement is, please join me in saying this: living, loving, learning, spirituality that works. And now let's have our opening song that was written some years ago by Jim Wade and performed by our music team. And it is the Gathering Song. So please sing along with us. I'll be listening for you. Thank you, music team, and thank all of you at home for joining us. That's a great way to start a Sunday morning, isn't it? Well, I know another nice way. Perhaps you would like to join me now in a guided meditation. So just get comfy, get still. If you're comfortable doing so, close your eyes and allow your divine breath to circulate through your physical body, through your emotions, through your mentality, and come to a place of sweet centeredness. And sitting in this sweet and sacred space, imagine yourself to be a seed underground, warm and nurtured, but dark and closed in. Now begin to feel a slight stirring, a gentle movement within, but insistent movement that wants more, wants to stretch a bit and grow. This desire for greater life becomes stronger within the very core of your being. Something begins gently to burst forth. A small stem, now pushing upward and outward. It continues growing and moving up toward the top of the soil, while you're being drawn to the light. Something guides your way on. Now you are beginning to emerge from the darkness into the light. Now becoming free to be your beautiful self, flowering in beauty, in joy. Feel the warmth of the sun. Stand tall and strong in the light. And just let this image become real for you as we go into the sweet sacred silence for a moment. As you are supported completely by the strong roots and stem that you have grown, you continue to stand tall and strong in the light. You are beautiful. You are divine. You are free. And now, let's welcome our practitioner, Mary Furtaw, for an opening affirmative prayer. Mary.
Good morning. Let us know together that there is one power in the universe, and this power is a force for good, and this power comes from the one source. The source is God. Each of us is a continuation of this source, forever impossible of separation from it. Now, since we're all one with the divine, we have equal access to what it contains. One of its components is truth. Knowledge and application of truth can heal consciousness, and we can be freed from thought patterns that do not serve us or humanity. This is the truth. I am grateful to know it, and I release this treatment to the law in the certainty that it is so. And so it is.
And so it is, Mary. This is often demonstration time, which is when we share good news that has happened in people's lives because of our teaching, because of spiritual mind treatment. I don't have anyone to step forward today, but I invite your phone calls or your emails or texts so that we can feature you here on a Sunday morning if something beautiful has emerged in your life because of applying the principles of science of mind. We do have an affirmation, and I invite you to speak it together with me. I am committed to true freedom for all as I do my sweet and essential part to make it a reality. Good. All right, kids, gather round. Mama Maxine wants to talk to you for a minute. Well, this is what, 4th of July weekend. I don't know how you celebrated yesterday. It might have involved food. I'm not sure, but you probably did not march in any parades. And you may have seen some fireworks looking out the window wherever you may live, but it wasn't going to a big park and watching all the fireworks go off. It's just different this year. But that's all right. It's still the 4th of July weekend. And why do we celebrate the 4th of July? Well, wasn't it about the signing of the Declaration of Independence, our country's courageous act to become free of British rule? we didn't do it particularly gracefully. As a matter of fact, it wasn't even signed on the 4th of July. Some signers were there on the 2nd of July, and there were many others who didn't even finish the signing until early August of that year. And so we need to realize we were a brand new country. We were just learning how to build it, right? As a matter of fact, it still is not perfect. We are still learning how to build it. But we have to work together to make it a more wonderful, more loving, wiser, and more just country and world for all people. So you and I are free to create our lives however we choose. You've learned that here in Fun Day School, haven't you? You and I have the opportunity to make our lives and our families' lives and our friends' lives and ultimately the world itself better. And that involves setting our intention. It involves making a choice. That's really what freedom is about, isn't it? Because the presence of God is everywhere. It's within you and me and everywhere else. It's within every person, every sentient being. And that presence adores us, understands that we are the beloved in whom it is well pleased. And then the law of God simply responds to our creative intention. So we're setting a creative intention to help everybody realize more than they may know right now. We're working together to create a more beautiful and just world. So however you are celebrating this weekend, celebrate your freedom and celebrate your choice. All the choices that you can make all day long for the rest of your lives. We weren't in any parades this year. We didn't even go watch one because I'm not sure there were any. I understand in the one little town in Kansas, it's called St. Francis, Kansas, that they actually had a bicycle parade. And I think that's very cool. But you know what Reverend Mike and Yoga and I did? We marched around the living room. Our dog Yoga wonders about us sometimes. And then last night, when it got dark, we went out on the deck and we played with sparklers. We were celebrating the light that we all have within us, and our freedom, and our power of choice. And that's our opportunity to bring light to the world, to create a better world for everybody, and more joy for everybody. Thanks for being with me today. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I'll talk with you again next Sunday, if not before. Okay, it's time for the adult talk. I know years ago in my very first church in Alamo, California, there was a little lady from Hungary who would say to me sometimes, Reverend Maxine, that part where you talk to the children, that's the only part I understand. So let's try this on. This is continuing or starting a brand new month of July, and our vision, of course, still for all the entire year is 2020 spiritual vision. We're going to be looking back 2020. Isn't it interesting? Here we are in July. We have been pretty much sequestered, let's say it right, for 4 months. And now we suddenly wake up and realize the year's half over. That's okay. That's really a good thing, isn't it? So our monthly theme for July is, where is it? Our monthly theme for July, it's not the June theme anymore. It's July now. It's ringing out freedom. Isn't that it? Ringing out freedom. That's it. It changes all the time, and we've got a new day. Ring out freedom. That's it. Ring out freedom. And we're going to be talking about that all month, starting today. And today's topic is nobody's free until everybody's free. And many of us have heard that wonderful song, and it just touches me to my soul when I hear it. It reminds me that we really are all one, and that each of us really gets to do our own work, and that it's time to stop seeing anyone as other and come into a deeper experience of unity. And while we are coming into a deeper experience of unity, truly going about the sacred work of coming to understand, truly understand by opening our hearts, our ears, and closing our mouths long enough to hear other people's experiences. We can hold both. They really are both possible. To understand our unity and to begin to open our hearts to get clearer about our brothers and sisters all over the world, their experiences. Longfellow said, "If we could read the secret history of our enemies, we would find in each person's story enough suffering and sorrow to disarm all hostilities." If we really understood each other, if we truly were able to walk in each other's moccasins even for a few yards, much less a mile, we could drop all of our defenses. We could feel that infinite love pouring through our own hearts and connecting with other hearts. We need to do some unlearning. I've been finding this out lately. I've always known this, but not to the degree that I have begun to understand it in the last few weeks. I love the phrase, "What you think you know is getting in the way of what you need to know." I'm applying that to myself every day. Reverend Mike and I are joining well over 100, maybe 121 other white ministers in a program that Centers for Spiritual Living has offered. It began last Friday. It goes each Friday morning for 4 weeks. And we're studying the book, Me and White Supremacy. Now, this particular gathering is open only to white ministers. No, that's not odd at all. When I came to understand that it's we as white folks who need to do our work rather than burdening our people of color to try and help us understand, we need first to understand our own lifetime of a personal history that isn't complete. I'll say more of that in a moment, but I want to quote this wonderful author, Richard Wright, from American Hunger. "Our too young and too new America, lusty because it is lonely, aggressive because it is afraid, insists on seeing the world in terms of good and bad, the holy and the evil, the high and the low, the white and the black. Our America is frightened of fact, of history, of processes, of necessity. It hugs the easy way of damning those it cannot understand, of excluding those who look different, and it salves its conscience with a self-draped cloak of righteousness." And by the way, this was written in 1944. He could perhaps have written it yesterday. You see, most of us grew up with a slanted history. And there's so much valuable information that was excluded. Many of us became aware of some of this in the movie Hidden Figures that was based on a true story an engineer named Mary Jackson who worked for NASA. We didn't know about these beautiful black women who were making a huge difference, keeping it safe for our astronauts. It wasn't until the book and the movie came out that I was even aware of this. We have not been informed of a lot of our history that is very important. I was grateful to read that just recently NASA had planned to immortalize Mary W. Jackson, one of its trailblazing alums who was portrayed in the film Hidden Figures. Jim Bridenstine, the NASA administrator, announced that the agency's D.C. headquarter complex will be named after Jackson, who became the first black woman to work as an engineer in NASA in 1958. That's good news. We're beginning to understand things we didn't know before. And I'm celebrating Mary, and I'm celebrating the people who are waking up to honoring the people who need to be honored. So we, white folks, have a privilege that we just have taken for granted. I never thought about it. You know, you may have heard me say, everybody is born of the same divine expression of God. We are all one. We're all human beings experiencing and waking up to our divinity. And we have people of many different colors, ethnicities, sexual identities, different ages, different types of professions, and most of us simply have accepted love is the basis of it all. But how interesting, as we are proceeding in this book study, that I'm becoming aware of some hidden biases that came from early training. It was not something that any of us came in with. We're all born of the one presence. We're all one. But there are people who've not been able to celebrate Independence Day as blithely and naively as the rest of us have done. And that's what I think it's important that we realize today, that my history that I learned was basically white European history. And so much precious information was left out. Imagine those white Europeans' shock when they realized that our civilization, our human race, began in Africa. Hello? See, we thought what we learned was true. And we didn't really have a clue. So I'm really engaged with seek first to understand. And that also means seek to understand what may be in my subconscious mind that I just am not aware of. Messages I may have received growing up, even though something in me said that's not so, something else in me may have tucked it away as some sort of true belief, which it is not. His Holiness the Dalai Lama, in his book Beyond Religion, says, as a matter of observation, how people treat their fellow human beings, and indeed the world around them, largely depends on how they conceive of themselves. How they conceive of themselves. Do you and I conceive of ourselves as beautiful individualized manifestations of the living Spirit? Are we then able to conceive of other people as beautiful individualizations of the living Spirit? Don't you see, we're waking up. And as we're awakening to what we didn't know, let's be gentle with ourselves. And so as we are not burdening our beloved brothers and sisters who are not white with trying to help us get through our white fragility, which is another book we have finished, but doing our own work. And as we awaken moment by moment, please let's be tender with ourselves in the process. So we're not looking for somebody other than ourselves to fix us. I'm on an investigation. I'm on some spiritual archaeology. I'm looking within to see what might still be hanging on in there that is somehow keeping other people from the freedom that is divinely anointed to them. I'm happy to do this work because I'm not going to be free until everybody is free. Neither you nor I nor anyone until we ultimately acknowledge the path, the struggles that our IBOC people have endured. BIPOC, it's BIPOC, and it stands for Black Indigenous People of Color. We're on a road, individually and collectively, so that all of us truly can celebrate. We can celebrate everyone's right to vote. We can celebrate everyone's right to have the education that anyone else can have. We can celebrate the right of people to live, where they wish to live, to love whom they wish to love. We can celebrate individuals' choices based on the divine presence and power within us all that is awakening us to greater possibilities. I want freedom for everybody. It's innate. You look up the word freedom in the glossary, in the Science of Mind textbook, and it's huge. There are so many references that Ernest Holmes made to freedom because he knew that it was an innate quality of the divine, therefore it's within all of us too. But we've gotten off course over the centuries. We've made some choices that somehow benefited certain groups of people and not all people. Our common humanity is the gateway to opening up to our shared divinity. His Holiness the Dalai Lama also said, "We are all human, all 7 billion of us. In this respect, we are all 100% the same." 100% the same. We are all divine beings in a human experience. So we're willing and able and ready to move through our human experiences by waking up more and more each day to infinite possibilities, but not just for ourselves, but for everyone. It's important to me that I'm authentic in my spirituality, so that I can authentically celebrate each other sentient being in this world. I can say authentically, the beloved presence of Christ within me salutes the beloved presence of Allah within you, of the Buddha nature within you, of the Atman in you, in the Yahweh, the Adonai in you, the Christ in you. It's the presence of the divine within us, no matter what we call it. So many names for one divine presence, and that's okay. We awaken others to their divinity by allowing ourselves to be embraced and guided by our true, authentic spirituality. I can't pretend to be other than I am. I can deepen my honest, authentic expression of my spirituality by connecting with that beloved presence, which continues to embrace me, continues to awaken me gently and powerfully. I'm not looking outside for confirmation of who I am. It's sweet to get that from time to time, though, isn't it? I recently saw on Facebook our beloved friend Eddie Watkins Jr. has performed for us and will again. We adore him and his beautiful Marianne. But he put something out on Facebook that said, "I'm not blaming you. You didn't create slavery. I love you. You're my friends." And that was sweet to hear. Just the same, we have our work I have my work to do. And in doing my work, I feel even more deeply connected with the living spirit of peace and truth and joy and life within me. I still love this beautiful phrase. Justice is what love looks like in public. I want to bring this loving view of our true humanity into the public. You know, Martin Luther King Jr. had a beautiful dream. And we can all do our part to make it a reality. Whether it's more freedom for all, which is what we're reminded of on the 4th of July. Whether it's honoring and celebrating people's different expressions of their divinity, whether it's doing a deep dive into our own subconscious mind to see what are the blind spots that I've had, what are my mental conflicts and my emotional hang-ups. How can I clear that out more effectively so that I truly am entering into seeking first to understand, truly loving and appreciating, transforming any doubt to faith, transforming any anxiety to peace, transforming any sense of separation to true unification. And in Martin Luther King's famous speech, when he's speaking about this dream, he says, and when this happens, when we allow freedom to ring, when we let it ring from every village and hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last. We've seen the Liberty Bell up close and personal. I was able to see it, to touch it years ago before they had to enclose it. I want us all to be able to touch real freedom within ourselves and within all of humanity without those enclosures that say, for you, yes, for you, no. I want to ring out that cracked bell of freedom for every sentient being. And we do that by moving more deeply into our soul and letting love begin to flow out for ourselves, for every sentient being. I'm committed to this work, and I'm loving it. It is not hard work, diligent, yes. And Reverend Mike and I, along with 130 or however many other white ministers in CSL, are reading and answering reflective questions and doing our journaling every day. I feel it's one of the most important things I've ever done. I'm learning so much. I understand more about history, real history, not segregated history. I'm learning more about deeper honoring, respecting, celebrating. I'm deepening this great dive into love and into justice and into truth, and I'm letting this freedom ring out. I'd like to have you join me. I have a sense you already have. Will you say with me, I am committed to true freedom for all. I do my important part for all of humanity. I awaken to greater love. I insist on fairness and equity. I declare real freedom for all. And so, my beloveds, beginneth our lesson. And now it's time for our offertory. And you'll see the many ways, the several ways, that you can contribute to the life and the work of this center. We are still thriving because of your loving support. We are still here for you and preparing for the day that we can open our doors, fling open the doors again, and be together. In the meantime, it doesn't stop us from loving each other. It doesn't stop us from lifting each other. And it gives us every opportunity to support this work. So as we take our gifts in our hands and prepare for our offertory, which is going to be a beautiful video, some of us like to hold our gifts to our hearts. Certainly reminds me that every good gift, that all of my prosperity and the world's prosperity comes from the very heart of God. Let us speak our prosperity affirmation together. I choose to celebrate prosperity. Divine love blesses my gift. It is my acceptance of God as the source of my abundant supply. With joy and gratitude, I share my abundance with this center. In doing so, I am one with the law of circulation. My tithe goes forth to heal, to prosper, and to bless. It returns to me multiplied abundantly, and I am prospered, and so it is.
morning, everyone. This is Karen Davis, your board president and treasurer, bringing you the Sunday announcements from beautiful Lake Wallenpaupack in the Poconos. Happy Independence Day. I'm struck every 4th of July, and perhaps even more so this year, by the bravery of our founding fathers who dared to alter their former systems of government by declaring independence from tyranny. We know now that that new form of government was far from perfect then, and it's still far from perfect today. But how grateful we are for the foundation of freedom we continue to build upon 244 years later. And speaking of building on that foundation, on June 25th, 72 members and friends of 3 local CSL centers, our center, the Center for Peace in Philly, and CSL Delaware, came together on a Zoom meeting to focus on walking the talk of a world that works for everyone. I was one of the participants, and it was the deepest and most sacred conversation I've experienced regarding the issue of institutional racism and how we as religious scientists can deepen our own awareness and become more aware of the experiences of others in this time of change in our culture. This conversation is open to all, and there is another opportunity to join together to help move us closer to the ideal of a more perfect union. Join us on Wednesday, July 22nd at 6:30 p.m. to continue these vital conversations. Email admin@cslphilly.com and request the Zoom invitation. Please do so by July 20th if possible. Using the Zoom technology, we are able to break the large group into smaller breakout groups to have meaningful conversations, even in a relatively short time frame. For more details about this and other goings-on at our center, please visit our website, www.cslphilly.com, and click on the events calendar. From our site, you can also click to view past Sunday celebrations and Dr. Maxine's and Reverend Mike's daily yoga sessions. Sorry, that's daily love note sessions featuring Yoga the Wonder Dog. Reverend Mike's Science of Mind textbook book club continues to meet via Zoom every Saturday from 9:40 a.m. to 9:45 a.m. to 11 a.m. These weekly meetings will continue until Reverend Mike gets us all the way through the textbook. You can join any Saturday, and by the way, it doesn't have to be every Saturday, by emailing revmike@cslphilly.com, and he will send you the Zoom invitation. This class is free, though love offerings are greatly appreciated. Thank you, Reverend Mike, for this very generous gift of your time and talent to our community. And speaking of generosity, I and the entire board want to sincerely thank all of you who continue to support our beloved center with your financial contributions. Every gift ensures that we can continue to celebrate each Sunday with you virtually and eventually in person again. Keep in mind that we love to share good things that are happening in each other's lives. If you have experienced something wonderful, like, say, manifesting a week at a lakefront home over the 4th of July, as a result of affirmative prayer and living the Science of Mind philosophy, please consider sharing it with the community. There are so many easy ways to do this. You can voice record yourself, you can video yourself, or you can email the demonstration story and someone else will read it for you on your behalf. Just get in touch with Dr. Maxine. Her contact info is on the website, and she will help to make it happen. And another reminder that we will continue to live stream our Sunday celebrations at least through the month of July. We will keep you posted on any further developments as the month goes on. And finally, immediately after celebration this morning, we will be gathering via Zoom, just like we do in our social area at Suite 16. Simply go to zoom.us on your computer or phone, click on Join a Meeting, and enter the meeting ID 839-510-32452. Again, that's 839-510-32452. And stop by to say hello. And now I'll leave you with a little taste of life on the lake. Enjoy the rest of the holiday weekend and make it a great week.
Oh, Karen, that looked wonderful. So happy for you celebrating by that beautiful lake with your beautiful dog Dougie. He looked like he was having a good time too. Thank you for those announcements. And this is the first Sunday of the month, isn't it? And what is the first Sunday of the month here at GPCSL but Birthday Sunday? So wherever you may be, if you were born in July, will you stand up? And we're going to sing to you while you hit it, Maestro. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear birthday. Happy birthday to you. Yep, here we are. We're both July babies. Yay! So thank you all for being with us today. Please keep on coming back. We love sharing this time with you. I know it's virtual, but it really feels visceral. I feel so connected with all of our loved ones, and thanks for continuing to join. Bring your friends, bring your family, and know that everybody is always welcome here. So our closing song will be beautifully done by the U.S. Navy Band and the Sea Chanters. You're all familiar with it. No reason not to sing along. And so we go out in absolute freedom, delighting in sharing that freedom with every sentient being, awakening to the truth that we are ringing it out for good. And so it is.